We're talking the big story of the day, which is the council in Christchurch voting on whether to go ahead with the brand new $683 million stadium. They've got a vote, they're taking a vote on whether they sign a fixed price contract to build this. There's been a lot of talk about this up until now. Of course, the stadium needed because of the dreadful earthquakes which irreparably damaged the AMI Stadium, formerly Lancaster Park. So commentators seem divided. There is one side which is very much pro, saying it's an excellent chance for Christchurch to actually become, one of the nation's best cities. And we're actually going to be speaking with broadcaster and media man Jason Gunn, and long-time Christchurch resident, very shortly, just about what he thinks of this proposal. And also, we are going to get a phone call from the Central Business Association when this meeting's finished, so I'll be able to bring you the news pronto about whether it is going to go ahead. It's going to have a capacity of 30,000, this stadium, and it'll be used, of course, for concerts and trade shows and expos. I mean, look at Dunedin. They said, we'll build it, they will come, and they did. Forsyth Bar, a good example of how a stadium can work for a city. I think Jason might be on the line right now, so let's cross to him. Kia ora, Jason. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. Very well indeed.
Good man. And I really am grateful to you for chopping into your day and having a chat with me here on South Beat. Now, so Christchurch, what do you think? What's your gut feeling? Which way do you think they'll go?
Well, I mean, great question. I always think, trying to guess which way someone else is going to go is always a little bit difficult, but yeah, I mean, I certainly think it's something we need. So I'd very much like to see it go ahead. The problem is, of course, it's one of many things that we kind of need. I can't wait for us to get a stadium that would that would fulfill all our sporting needs. It gets a bit cold down here, and we do a lot of winning. So we play a lot of rugby.
That's true.
But as well as that, I could pause and go, we also could do with a really good working mental health facility for young people. Yeah. So, and everything is just costing money. Everybody's got their hands up. So I'd like to think we can do it all, but I'm not sure of the order, right? I mean, I'm always going to put a mental health facility for youth ahead of a stadium. That's just me personally. But I'm certainly a let's try and do it all sort of person. And also Christchurch is a city which, has been to hell and back and understand, what it's like to rebuild and hopefully get some priorities in place. So if any city could do it all, I think it would be Christchurch.
I do too. I love what Christchurch is becoming. Whenever I visit, I feel invigorated by it. I think it's doing a great job. And despite the naysayers, I feel like it is using this opportunity well. And this stadium looks, when you see the design of it, I think it looks spectacular. I think it will be lovely.
I think so. Look, one of my dearest friends, Lee Jimon, was the driving force behind the Hagley Cricket Oval. The hell that he went through from naysayers who said, it would ruin our Hagley Park and we can't have that going up there and I won't be able to walk my dog through on a Friday afternoon. Well, it turns out that the cricketing world just absolutely loves it. It brings many wonderful people, many wonderful cricketers. It brings the world watching Christchurch and him or her naysayer, in fact, can still walk their dog through Hagley Park on a Friday. So, I think sometimes I understand where some of the naysaying comes from, but possibly a little bit more knowledge and research might make them sleep better at night.
Exactly. And of course, there is a very real concern, which is the rate rise. And, that could be up to what, $39, I think, annually or something like that was touted. And, any sort of money that the ratepayer has to fork out, yes, it's going to create controversy. But there was lots of opportunity for people to have their say, wasn't there, Jason?
Well, look, there was, and look, I understand that to some that is nothing, and to many that is a lot. And as I say, if you're a ratepayer and you have someone in your immediate family or household, for example, who is requiring, a mental health facility that doesn't currently exist. I think you would rather your money went towards that than a sports stadium. So for different people, we have different values and different wants and a different priority order, don't we? So it's difficult, again, to put us all as ratepayers in the one basket, to be honest. So, look, my only thing is, and again, this is coming from a very ignorant place, when people say something's going to cost as much as it is, I'm a bit of a funny bugger because I'm like, is it though? Is it going to cost that? Or are some very large companies going to make some large money from building this? And again, please, this comes from a place of ignorance from Jason, but I don't know. I've stood on stages and raised funds for many wonderful organisations, and it usually comes down to people just, digging a little deeper and maybe, just cutting some corners and helping out. And I'd like to think that everyone who is involved in the process and construction of the stadium is making money from it, but is, doing it from a good place as well.
Yeah, and that's why so many people often feel concerned about big development and lots of money being thrown around because they're struggling. And like you say, you make such a good point about mental health, obviously, but then I guess the developers or the people who want the stadium are saying, well, hey, a city's mental health is also founded on having a beautiful entertainment centre where people can go and have fun and,
of course,
celebrate the race. So there are always pros and cons.
Well, no, I couldn't agree more. Look, one of the greatest things that rugby and sports does is provides all of us with, two things. Number one is some normality. And, actually three things, and also some consistency. It's nice to know on a Friday and Saturday that, that there'll be a game you can go and watch. And also it provides us with escapism from some very, scary times that are and uncertain times. So without a doubt, it plays a huge part in our mental health. I just think, I'm possibly wrong to even start but we could have this or this. I'd like to think we're a city that could have this and this. Because they are two very different things. And in the perfect world, dream big, Christchurch, we can have it all.
That's nice what you say, dream big, Christchurch, because I guess it is a big dream, and I'd be interested to talk with actually the Crusaders with Razor or someone like that, and I imagine probably Marty's doing that perhaps later on in his show. So I imagine that he'd be all for it. I mean, and we all know the Red and Blacks. You're right. Christchurch is a very dominant sporting city, particularly on the rugby field.
Well, I mean, look, I know Razor well, a delightful man, and what he has done and what that team has done for this city has been extraordinary. I remember being, there for the opening of we called it a temporary stand, and we watched those Crusaders run out onto the park that day. And it wasn't just a game of rugby. It was a signal to Christchurch that we've been through a lot, and if we stick together, we're going to be okay. So it's a powerful thing, and the reality is Christchurch can get a little chilly. So if you're sitting at home with a good-sized television and it's a cold night, chances of you taking your beautiful children down to watch the rugby are just getting a bit slimmer.
Absolutely.
So, there is something to be said about getting out and supporting the team and other teams that will play there. It's an extraordinary experience, and if you add that to the whole new Christchurch of the central city and other great things that are going on, it will also bring so many people from overseas as well, which is great for, local business. So there are so many great things. The other thing is I understand there's a lot of red tape and carry on, but my concern is the longer it takes, it seems, the more the prices seem to go up. So just at some stage, someone needs to have the balls to make a call. And because every time we revisit it, it's like, oh, no, miraculously, mysteriously, the costs seem to have gone up somehow. And it's like, I can't quite put my finger on that. I mean, a few of us have experienced that when we've possibly either built a little house or done something. But, of course, we're not talking about 10 or 20,000 here. We seem to go up in jumps of millions. So I would suggest let's make a call. I say let's build it, but let's just get on and start, because the longer we wait, it seems the more we'll all pay.
That's 100% true, and a very good point. You're such a wise man, Jason Gunn. I knew that getting you on the show would just lift the tenure of the whole content. No, seriously though, you're a wise man and you talk a lot of sense. And of course, you love your city. You're passionate about your home city, Christchurch.
Oh, like I do. I'm very emotional when it comes to Christchurch, and I see, because of what we have been through, and I've seen it bring out, and not just the earthquakes, that horrible day in our mosques. We still battle with it, all that we've been through, and we're still very much going through it. And I think I always say, from something bad, some good must come. And on both of those days, horrible days, I saw the best of us. And I do love this. I saw kindness, and all of our priorities all of a sudden got aligned, and we realised what was important. So I think in the building of this stadium and the building of mental health facilities, I think if we can try and put people first, I think it's got to be about that, right?
Yeah, that's right, because people are what matter, and let's face it, we're going through a very tough winter in our country at the moment with health concerns. Very tough.
Yes. Oh, no, absolutely. Let me assure you, as I just step outside I'm coming back inside. Let me tell you something, as I pop my head out the window there into this Christchurch day. It doesn't scream, take the kids to footy in the current facility.
Yeah.
But if you could make it a bit easier for me and potentially put a roof over my head, then I'll be there with bells on. Get me a season pass.
And then you think of the great live bands and all the fantastic other events that can take place here, like I mentioned, Forsyth Bar, terrific asset to Dunedin, I think. And they've announced this show next year, Chili Peppers and Post Malone. And this is good. It's a shot in the arm. It gives people, it brings people together, and it gives them some excitement. Something to look forward to. It
does, and I think you're also talking about Christchurch that is a city that's ready for this. I don't know, whether 10 years ago, it was like, okay, but now we have a place in central city where a huge international stadium could go, backed up by incredible, inner city with hotels and restaurants which are just looking better than ever. It looks beautiful, and then just down the road you've got the Hagley Oval as well. So when you put it all together, we are ready for this, and that's what excites me. Look, 10, 20 years ago, we could have had this idea and we would have gone, well, how are we going to funnel the people from here to there and over? But now, a blessing to come out of something so bad like the earthquake is we now have a city and a plan and a landscape that says, well, yes, it should go here, and that will easily funnel people. Like, we know they will go from that stadium to the central city. They will use restaurants and cafes and taxis. The funnel is set up quite beautifully. Like, much thought has gone into that. So I believe now we are ready for something this size in our city.
Oh, it's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm standing by. I've got someone from the Central Business Association, and he said he'll ring me the minute that they make the vote. So this is quite exciting to have a breaking story during the program.
Look at us.
Yes.
Exactly. Fingers crossed. Yes.
Well, I think so. And, I wanted to mention some of the beautiful streets in Christchurch. This is just from a personal perspective, but New Regent Street.
Yeah.
Got to be one of the most stunning streets ever.
I think so. And what Christchurch people are discovering is, we lived so much of our life in the CBD, and then for so long we just didn't even visit. We all go in now, and, there are certain road signs that aren't there and landmarks that are no longer there. So we're all getting a bit lost and having to be reminded where these old Gloucester, Worcester and Hereford streets are. So it's an exciting time to go back in. The only thing I hear a bit is, it's all just taking a bit too long, and that's generally people from out of town who come to Christchurch. And I go, well, you get one chance to do this again, don't you? Like, I'm in no rush. As much as I'd love to see the city at its best in my lifetime, as long as my beautiful children can take their children to the stadium and see a Christchurch as it should be, that's what I want. So I'm in no rush. We get one chance to get the transport and the stadiums and everything in the right place working well, and if we rush it, we'll wish we'd done it differently. So, look, I do want the stadium built because the escalating prices concern me. But the rest of it is like, well, look, let's just, I think by taking our time so far, that's the reason it's all looking so good.
It looks so good and colourful and vibrant and easy to get around. That's what I find. Like, when was the last, plus you've got the beautiful, so you've got your Sumner and Redcliffe sort of, city on the sea kind of vibe, and then you can go into the heart of Christchurch again. And I've been talking about that earlier on with the new complex opening in Invercargill today. And so you are actually getting a heart again. You are, like I say, New Regent Street, some of the bars and the restaurants and the businesses in that street, fantastic. Why wouldn't you go there and linger and wander around?
Well, absolutely. And also, as I see the city getting rebuilt now, look, someone has an understanding of the weather patterns. And so, there's a reason they want a stadium with a roof on in Christchurch. And even the bars and restaurants, where they're located, how they're built. And, it's all taking into account that this isn't just any city. This is Christchurch. I spoke to some lovely people from England at Hagley Oval, when they were here watching the cricket over summer, and they said, we can't believe it. This is the most stunning ground. And they said, and then we just walked. And we just walked into the city and had a meal, and it was truly amazing. And I went, well, yes, you can do that now.
Yeah.
And they said, and there's talk of a stadium getting built, and so of an evening we could go and watch rugby. And we go, well, yes, you could. And so there's some clever town planning that's gone on with the precincts and I think it's just about getting people in, an easy flow, entertaining them, and then getting them out again. And so, I think, look, I cherish the days I watched rugby and cricket at Lancaster Park, but it was a little bit tougher to get around Christchurch, and now some thought's gone into it. It's like, this is going to be easy to get into, be entertained, and get back home again.
That's what you want, And this is what you can't get in some of the other big cities, like, say, Sydney or London, when you go to Wembley or the SCG. Remember the times that you've tried to get out of those places, and it's like taking you 3 hours to get home. Christchurch won't be like that, will it?
Well, no. Well, hopefully Christchurch, although you do mention Melbourne, someone did say to me once, there's something about cities that have rivers that run through it. Like Melbourne and like Christchurch. And, Melbourne is actually quite cleverly thought out with its precincts in terms of where the sporting venues are and where the eating places are. And I think there's I can't help but think that possibly someone who's, in charge of designing this new Christchurch may have had a couple of trips to Melbourne just quietly with a pen and paper. Because there's some really nice flowing aspects of Melbourne in terms of how it all works, and that is now in Christchurch, which I just love.
I think Christchurch is very Melbourne-like.
Yes, I think so. Yep. And I think if you look at the design and the restaurants and everything now, we're really taking advantage of having this beautiful Avon River that flows through it, as opposed to, well, I see you've just got a river over there. So we're starting to celebrate all that's good about Christchurch, Well,
you've got a river.
Yes, I see the river there.
Yes,
you should do something with that. And we are. Yes, and we are.
It's right, Jason. I just think it's really interesting to speak with you. I'm looking actually now. It sounds like this is going to take a long time. I don't think there'll be any news for hours on this meeting, honestly.
Yes.
You imagine all the submissions?
No, it's one of those things. Yes, you just, well, again, I guess, in their defence, I guess it's a big decision. And, again, you don't want them to rush it. You want everyone to be heard. And then when all the facts and figures are there, they can go, well, here's what the people are saying, and here's what we think. And yes.
I think so. So
hopefully it goes the right way, he says.
Yeah, I know. And so with Razor from the Crusaders, do you know if he's actually in the meeting? I imagine he is.
I know he's been away. I know he's been away, so I don't know if he's back for that. But look, there's a man who just does so much for our city, and as he would say, that the whole Crusaders do, and they've got an incredible culture and way about them. And if anyone deserves to look up and see a stadium full of people, it's that team, for what they've given us.
That's right.
And hey, you'll have no problem filling those seats the seats are a little warmer than they currently are.
That's right. It's dead right. I mean, it is true. Look, we live. Our winters are pretty harsh. I think this winter's been really tough in the south where I am in Queenstown. It's been so cold that the snow didn't melt in June, the first lot, and it's just stayed that way consistently, which is great in many ways. But no, we do. We need indoor. We can't kid ourselves that we're a tropical, environment, because we're not. We're freezing.
No, and also, and you need to look at the fact, and back in the good old days, the option was you'd sit at home with possibly maybe a 21-inch television. Well, now the average television size has reached probably 65 or 70-inch. And I'm able to watch it through a very good speaker system. So all of a sudden, I can watch that and I don't have to park my car. It's in the garage still, right? So the options of watching sport at home are very good. So when I look outside and it says 1 degree, and I look inside and I see that large television, I think it becomes a decision that's a bit too easy for me,
Yeah, I know. What are your children like? Do they get out much? How old are your children now, Jason? Getting on a bit?
Oh, they range from 19 to 23 to 26 to 31.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
They've all got older and taller than me, yes.
Yeah, that's frightening. I do that all the time. I look up at my son and I'm like, what happened to the little boy? He's 21 and 6'3", and I'm like, good grief. It's lovely, though.
No, I know.
It's lovely.
Well, it is also, and what I love too is that with the Guns, we love experiences. So, the idea that we could have somewhere like a stadium to go and a reason to go out, I just love that, So that's one of the things. We love experiences. So, just the idea that we could go out and watch not just sports, but, entertainment and stuff at places like this, I just think that would be so exciting.
And I do too. And so, we will keep everyone posted. And I have just loved talking with you today, Jason. It's been really nice.
Well, you know where I am, so feel free to call. I'm always up for a natter, and just know none of what Jason says is based on any great knowledge, just very opinionated.
It's only...
just a very Cantabrian, and that's all it is, really. A passionate, opinionated Cantabrian. That's all I am. Yep.
Not one-eyed, just passionate.
I don't think so. No, occasionally, but the thing is, if I am one-eyed, I know I'm being one-eyed. So at least there's that,
Hand on your heart, you fess up to how you're acting at the time.
I fess up. No. Yes, I won't take anyone say anything bad about my hometown, that's for sure.
No, well, fair enough. Well, it's a great place. I love it. Can't wait to get back to Christchurch soon. And Jason, you have a good afternoon, and let's see what happens.
Lovely to chat.
Yeah, it was great.
I'll be listening. Thank you.
All right, Jason, take care. Thanks so much. Okay, so that was a lot of fun. And